There is something infinitely more powerful than simply thinking positively. And when you truly understand this, your life can begin to change in ways you may have never imagined before. Many people spend years repeating positive phrases, trying to convince themselves that everything will work out. Yet they continue living with the same problems, the same struggles, and the same limitations. And do you know why? Because positive thinking alone is not enough. What truly transforms your life is learning how to think powerfully. Thinking powerfully means looking at reality with awareness, understanding what is happening inside you, and taking responsibility for the direction of your life. To explain this in a very simple way, I like to use the example of three very different animals: the carp, the shark, and the dolphin. Each of them represents a way of living, a way of thinking, and a way of reacting to life. And while I explain this, you may start to realize which of these three behaviors you have been living without even noticing. The carp is a freshwater fish that lives in more closed environments like lakes and small rivers. It does not know the ocean. It does not know the vast world. It lives in a limited environment and eventually becomes used to it. In human life, the carp represents the person who is afraid to leave their comfort zone. It is the person who prefers to remain in a familiar situation, even if that situation is difficult, limited, or full of sacrifices, simply because they are afraid of change. The carp thinks small. When a financial problem appears, when an unexpected bill arrives, when a challenge shows up in life, the carp immediately panics. It begins to think things like, "That's it. Everything is going wrong now. I knew this would happen. I won't be able to solve this. My life is too complicated." Do you see it? The carp vibrates in scarcity. It believes the world is small, that opportunities are limited, and that everything is somehow working against it. And when a person lives this way, thinking small and always expecting the worst, they end up creating exactly that reality for themselves. Not because the universe wants to punish them, but because the way they see life completely limits the possibilities they are able to recognize. Now let's talk about the shark. The shark lives in the ocean, a completely different environment from the carp's lake. The ocean is vast, full of movement, full of resources, and full of possibilities. But even living in such a huge place, the shark still believes in scarcity. It believes that in order to survive, it needs to attack, dominate, and compete all the time. In the shark's mindset, if someone wins, someone else must lose. If someone grows, someone else must fall. It lives in a constant state of alert, always suspicious, always ready to fight. In human life, the shark represents the person who is constantly competing with everyone. It is the person who always wants to be right, who needs to prove they are better than others, who struggles to collaborate, to trust, or to share. On the outside, this person may appear strong, determined, and powerful, but on the inside, they live defensively all the time, always expecting attacks, always believing someone might take something away from them. When a financial problem appears, for example, the shark often reacts by pushing responsibility onto someone else. It borrows money without planning, avoids truly facing the problem, and tries to fix things quickly without transforming the real cause of the difficulty. It is a way of living based on competition and fear. And then we arrive at the dolphin. The dolphin also lives in the ocean, exactly the same place where the shark lives. The difference is that the dolphin sees life in a completely different way. The dolphin knows that challenges exist. It knows that difficult moments happen, but it also knows that abundance exists. It understands that the ocean is big enough for everyone. The dolphin represents the person who has developed emotional intelligence, creativity, and awareness. It is someone who does not run away from difficulties, but also refuses to be controlled by them. When a problem appears, the dolphin does not panic like the carp and does not go to war like the shark. Instead, the dolphin pauses, breathes, observes the situation, and asks powerful questions like, What can I learn from this? How can I improve? What is this situation trying to teach me? How can I turn this into growth? That is the difference between simply thinking positively and thinking powerfully. Thinking powerfully means understanding that life is not happening against you, life is happening through you. Every situation that appears carries an opportunity for expansion, learning, and evolution. When someone with a dolphin mindset faces a financial challenge, for example, they do not immediately fall into fear. They take a deep breath, connect with their inner power, and begin thinking creatively. They ask themselves questions like, how can I create money? What opportunity am I not seeing yet? How can I transform this situation into something better? This person understands something very important. Abundance is part of life itself. Nature is abundant. The ocean is abundant. The universe is abundant. And when you connect with this truth, you begin to realize that there are far more paths available than you once imagined. Thinking powerfully means looking at reality and taking responsibility for the way you respond to it. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin asking, what inside me created this situation and what can I learn from it? That single shift changes everything. Life becomes lighter, more creative, and more fluid. This does not mean problems disappear. It means you stop being a victim of them and begin becoming the author of your own story. Life is like a vast ocean full of opportunities, possibilities, and different paths. And inside this ocean, you will always have three choices. You can live like the carp, limited by fear and comfort zones. You can live like the shark, fighting all the time and believing you must defeat others to survive. Or you can live like the dolphin, light, creative, collaborative, and confident in the abundance of life. Thinking powerfully means choosing to live like the dolphin. It means focusing on what you want to build, what you want to experience, and who you want to become. And the most interesting thing is that many people have already started walking this path, and they have incredible stories to tell. Stories of transformation, of changing the way they think, and of results that began to appear when they decided to change the way they looked at life. And do you know what is most beautiful about all this? It is realizing that more and more people are beginning to live this way, beginning to think powerfully and gradually transforming their own reality. I receive many messages from people who started changing their mindset, who began to look at life with more awareness, more responsibility, and more gratitude, and things started flowing in ways that once seemed impossible. Just the other day, I received a very special message from a woman named Rebecca. Her story is simple, but at the same time very powerful. She told me that she started including small practices in her daily routine. Every morning before starting work, she reserved a few minutes to listen to content that elevated her mind. Instead of starting the day complaining about life, complaining about bills and problems, she decided to start her day feeding her mind with better thoughts. And along with that, she decided to do something that seemed simple, but ended up changing the way she related to her own life. She bought a journal and began writing only good things in it: dreams, goals, desires, and most importantly, gratitude. At first, it seemed like just a small habit, almost symbolic. But little by little, it began to change the way she saw opportunities around her. Rebecca works as a real estate agent, and one day she saw a building that she thought was absolutely beautiful. It was elegant, modern, and located in one of the most valued areas of the city. She looked at that building and thought to herself, I would love to sell an apartment here. So she did something interesting. She took a photo of the building and placed that photo inside her journal. Every day when she opened the journal, she looked at that photo and gave thanks as if she had already sold an apartment there. She imagined the sale happening. She imagined the client's happiness, and she imagined the positive result of that negotiation. A few weeks passed and something incredible happened. She managed to sell an apartment in that exact building, an apartment valued at around $1 million. When she told me about this, she was extremely emotional, but the story did did not end there. Shortly after that, she sold another apartment in the same building. And while she was telling me all of this, she said something very important. The biggest change was not only financial, the biggest change happened inside her. She began working with more lightness, with more confidence, without constantly complaining about the difficulties of the market. She started trusting her own ability more and believing more in the opportunities that appeared, and along with that, other things started happening in her life. She managed to sell her own car and was already planning to buy a new one. In fact, she had already placed a photo of the car she wanted inside her journal as well, looking at that image every day with gratitude and confidence. Do you see what happened there? Rebecca began acting like the dolphin. She stopped focusing on what was missing and started directing her attention to what she wanted to create. And when your attention changes, your energy changes, your perception changes, and you begin to notice opportunities that previously passed completely unnoticed. Another story that really stayed with me was the story of Daniel. He works at an advertising agency and told me that he had a very difficult client, the kind of person who arrived at meetings already irritated, already complaining, and criticizing everyone around him. According to Daniel, nobody liked dealing with that client because the meetings were always tense. The client was rude, impatient, and seemed ready to argue at any moment. Daniel himself had already gone through several uncomfortable situations with him. It was the type of environment where everyone entered the meeting expecting the worst. But one day, Daniel decided to try something different. Before each meeting with that client, he began doing a small mental practice. Instead of going into the meeting expecting criticism and conflict, he began mentally sending positive thoughts toward that person. He imagined peace, understanding, and respect. He mentally repeated words of reconciliation, forgiveness, and harmony. At first, it seemed like a simple exercise, almost symbolic, but he decided to do it consistently. After some time, something curious happened. During a meeting with several members of the team, the client began exactly as usual, complaining and speaking harshly to several people in the room. The atmosphere became heavy and uncomfortable. But when it was Daniel's turn to speak, something unexpected happened. The client's behavior completely changed. His tone became calmer, more respectful, and at one moment, he even made a small joke and laughed together with Daniel. The people in the room looked at each other without understanding what was happening. It was as if they were seeing two completely different people. With everyone else, the client remained rigid and aggressive, but with Daniel, the energy was completely different. When he told me this, he said something very interesting. I realized that when I changed inside, the way he reacted to me also changed. And that shows something very deep about life. Many times we believe that other people are the problem, that situations are against us, that the world is simply too difficult. But when we change something inside ourselves, the behavior of people around us often begins to change as well. And there is another story I love to share because it shows how a mindset of abundance can transform life in a very practical way. This story is about a man named Marcus. He works as a caregiver for elderly people, and for a long time, his income was very limited. He worked a few shifts on weekends and earned an amount that barely covered his monthly expenses. He lived constantly worried about money with that feeling that it was never enough. But one day, he began changing the way he thought. Instead of focusing on what he lacked, he began focusing on what he wanted to build. He began repeating to himself that money could arrive through many different paths and that there were opportunities he still had not seen yet. Little by little, new possibilities began appearing. One family needed a full-time caregiver during the week, and he was recommended for the job. Soon after, another family also needed help, and he was recommended again. Before he realized it, he was working during the entire week caring for two different families. The result was surprising. That small income he once had began to grow significantly. Today, he earns much more than he used to, working with more stability and more peace of mind. And when he told me this story, he said something very important. The first thing that changed happened inside my head. I stopped repeating that I had no money and started believing that new opportunities were coming. These stories show something very clear. When you begin thinking powerfully, your mind opens to new possibilities. You begin acting differently, noticing different opportunities, and life starts responding in a different way as well. And there is one more story that I find absolutely incredible because it clearly shows how focusing on abundance can bring unexpected results. This story is about a woman named Patricia. She told me something very simple yet very special. Patricia always loved jewelry and semi-precious accessories. It was not about luxury or excess. It was simply the desire to own something beautiful, something elegant she could wear on special occasions. But at that time in her life, she was focused on other financial priorities and kept leaving that desire for later. One day, she was walking through a shopping mall and entered a jewelry store. When she saw the pieces displayed in the windows, she was enchanted. They were delicate, well-made, and had a beautiful shine. She especially loved a set that included a necklace, a pair of earrings, and a gold ring. She took out her phone, took a photo of the pieces, and left the store. But instead of thinking, "This is not for me," she decided to do something different. Every day, she looked at that photo on her phone and gave thanks as if those pieces were already hers. It was not a desperate request, and it was not a demand for it to happen quickly. It was simply a sincere feeling of gratitude, as if the universe was already preparing that moment for her. A few days later, on a Saturday, she returned to the mall to have lunch with a friend. They talked, laughed, and caught up on life. After lunch, they decided to walk through the stores. Without planning, they ended up entering the exact same jewelry store where Patricia had taken the photo. While looking at the display again, she commented casually to her friend, "I love these pieces. They are so beautiful. One day I'm going to buy something from this store." It was just a simple comment between friends, but her friend replied with something Patricia did not expect. She said, "Choose 3 pieces as if they were for you. I want to buy a gift for my daughter-in-law, and I'd like your opinion." Patricia looked at the display and chose exactly 3 pieces she loved: a necklace, a pair of earrings, and a gold ring. Coincidentally, they were very similar to the ones she had photographed earlier. The saleswoman wrapped the pieces carefully in an elegant box and handed the package to the friend. When they left the store, Patricia still believed the gift was for the daughter-in-law. But while they were walking through the mall corridor, her friend suddenly turned to her and said something completely unexpected. "Patricia, this gift is actually for you." For a moment, she did not understand. Then her friend explained, "My son won $40,000 in the lottery this week, and he gave me $5,000 as a gift. When I received the money, I thought about buying something for someone special, and at that moment I remembered you." Patricia was deeply emotional. The pieces she had chosen totaled around $600. It was not only about the value, it was about the meaning behind it. It was realizing that something she had imagined with gratitude and visualized with affection had arrived in her life in a completely unexpected way. When she told me this story, she said that in that moment, she understood something very important about life. When you focus on what you desire, when you give thanks as if it were already real, you begin opening paths for it to manifest in your life. Do you see how her attitude was completely different from the carp mindset? The carp would have looked at that store window and immediately thought, "This is too expensive for me. I will never have something like that. There is no point even looking." And the shark might have thought about competing, about finding a way to get it by forcing a situation or stepping over someone else. But the dolphin does something different. The dolphin looks at what it desires with lightness, confidence, and creativity. It does not feel envy. It does not feel anger. It does not feel frustration. It simply recognizes the desire and connects with gratitude as if that desire were already on its way. And when you begin living like this, something very interesting happens. Your mind becomes more open, your energy becomes lighter, and you begin noticing opportunities that were invisible before. Many people believe that prosperity means taking something from someone else in order to have something for themselves. But that is the mentality of scarcity. True prosperity happens when we understand that there is space for everyone to grow. You do not need to push anyone down in order to rise. You do not need to compete all the time in order to achieve something. There is enough abundance in this world for many people to prosper at the same time. When you believe that you need to take something from someone else in order to benefit yourself, you are vibrating in scarcity without even realizing it. But when you understand that you can grow while helping others grow as well, you begin vibrating on a completely different frequency. The frequency of collaboration, creativity, and expansion. That is why I always say that life is like a vast ocean. Within this ocean, there are challenges, there are waves, there are moments of calm and moments of turbulence. But there are also an immense number of opportunities waiting to be discovered. The way you navigate this ocean depends entirely on the way you think. You can choose to live like the carp, limited by fear, living in the same small space and believing the world is restricted and opportunities are rare. You can choose to live like the shark, constantly in battle, always competing and always believing that someone must lose for you to win. Or you can choose to live like the dolphin, light, intelligent, creative, and collaborative. The dolphin faces the waves of the ocean with confidence, skill, and joy. Thinking powerfully is exactly this. It is looking at your life and asking yourself, which of these mindsets am I feeding every day? It is consciously choosing where to place your attention, because your attention is one of the most powerful forces that exist. Whatever you feed with your attention grows. Whatever you appreciate tends to expand. Whatever you observe with love begins to flourish. So starting today, begin observing your thoughts. Observe how you react when challenges appear. Observe whether you are acting like the carp, like the shark, or like the dolphin. And whenever you notice that you have fallen into fear or scarcity, take a deep breath and remember that you can choose again. You can choose to think powerfully. Direct your attention to what you want to create. Give thanks for the good things that already exist in your life. Be creative. Be collaborative. Trust that life can surprise you in wonderful ways. And if this message made you reflect even a little bit about the way you have been thinking and living, then it has already been worth it. Because transformation begins exactly like this, with a small moment of awareness. I am Elizabeth Garcia, and I want you to never forget something very important. I deeply believe in the potential that exists inside you, and I truly wish that your life may be filled with prosperity, lightness, and abundance. A big kiss for you, and I will see you next time.